Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central TV. It's time for news now. I am Judith Atibi. The headlines at this hour. President Tinubu gets a bill proposing Nigeria's return to regional government today. ANC strikes 11th hour's deal to form government in South Africa. Niger shorts of oil export pipeline to Benin Republic amid a diplomatic row. Details shortly. We'll begin with information reaching us that the Court of Appeal will decide the fate of the defecting lawmakers in Rivers State this morning. We're monitoring this development and we'll bring you details as it unfolds. Moving on now to President Bola Tinubu's will today receive a draft bill seeking a return to a regional system of government for Nigeria. The proposed legislation, authored by chieftain of the Yoruba Socio-Cultural Association, Afenifere, Akin Fapohunda, seeks, among others, new extant laws to be cited as a Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria New Governance Model for Nigeria Act 2024. The said bill was, however, disowned by the House of Representatives, whose spokesman, Akin Rotimi, and the chairman, Committee on Rules and Business, said had not been listed for deliberation in the ongoing moves to review the 1999 Constitution as amendment. Fapohunda said on Thursday that the bill would be transmitted to the president on Friday. Earlier, the initiator of the draft bill, Akin Fapohunda, joined us on the news to discuss this. Take a look.
We are a federal government only in name. In all practical purposes, we are a unitary government under military command and control system. We have just one constitution for the whole country. In a federal system, there are two tiers of government. The federal, we have its own constitution. The second tier, we have its own constitution. Be that is may, the Nigerian National Assembly does its own thing the way it wishes without taking cognizance of the views of Nigerians. The National Assembly is fixated on incremental change in the Constitution, amend a little there, a little the other place, because they have 1 billion naira every legislative session to amend Constitution. So this assembly now, in the next 4 years, they have 1 billion naira and they want to spend the money. They are not interested in one final solution to Nigerian problem of Constitution.
President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of Tanimu Yakubu as the Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation following the expiration of the tenure of Ben Akabuzoe. Yakubu is an accomplished economist and was Chief Economic Advisor to a former president from 2007 to 2010, Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria from 2003 to 2007, and Commissioner of Finance, Budget and Economic Planning in Katsina State from 1999 to 2003. The new Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation holds a Master's of Business Administration degree in Finance from Wagner College, Staten Island, New York, and a Bachelor of Science degree in Economics from the same institution. President Tinubu thanked the outgoing Director General, Akabueze, for his services and wishes him success in his future endeavors. And now to security matters. Earlier today, News Central's television, or rather yesterday, News Central Television held a town hall meeting in Jos Plateau State to address the saddening deaths and conflicts plaguing some communities. News Central's Chidinma Ona compiled this report. Take a look.
Nigeria's Middle Belt state, known for its mining production, has witnessed several devastating conflicts for decades. Plateau State, with an estimated 3 million people, is known for playing a vital role in the country's prosperous economy with its exportation of tin and columbite. However, recurring tragedies over the years have posed a threat to indigents.
What we have witnessed is a village will be attacked. Those that are killed are killed. Those that are maimed are maimed. Then those that remain will have to run to safety. The next day, the attackers will come and occupy the village and live, and they have been living there. That is what has been happening.
Is purely an act of terrorism. Though at the onset, it was more of a religious crisis from 2001. But when it gets to 2010, from that point, particularly 2015, it was more of an ethnic cleansing mission.
Cutting from the government herself, the security agencies are on their various formations, the community leaders, the community itself, everybody has something to say and have something to do to maintain peace. If you see any attack, somebody has not done his job, or somebody did his job wrongly.
The first recorded incident of crisis occurred in 1994. Since then, over 4,486 deaths have been recorded, ravaging some communities to the ground. At the event, security officials and critical stakeholders amplified the indigenous call for community-driven solutions.
Sometimes things that have happened somewhere in other locations, people will post it on the net, on internet, everywhere, and be sharing it, that it is happening just now in the Plateau. We must be sincere with ourselves. Nobody will solve your problem with you. Whether you send all those things to them, they will not come here to solve the problem. It's you on the ground.
There is a commitment from the governor that myself and my team will meet with the governor in the shortest possible time, and our intention and my personal commitment on behalf of New Central is that we will be back here as soon as possible to make sure that we dig deeper in this conversation and we find a solution.
As a call for justice, rehabilitation, and compensation rings loud, New Central TV will continue to advocate for justice within its capacity.
And on to labour matters. Federal government of Nigeria has advised organized labour to consider the broader economic implications of its push for what it called an unrealistic higher national minimum wage. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris, who gave the admonition while speaking at the opening of the 2024 Synod of the Charismatic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria in Abuja, noted that the 250,000 naira minimum wage demanded by Labour could undermine the economy, lead to mass entrenchment of workers, and jeopardize the welfare of Nigerians. The minister emphasized the importance of a realistic wage system that safeguards against mass entrenchment while addressing workers' needs as well. And now to discuss this, I'm joined by a rights activist, and that's Hassan Taiwo Soweto. He's the National Coordinator of Education Rights Campaign. Well, many thanks for joining me today, Soweto. And let's just get started very quickly this morning. Do you agree with the information, Minister, that the 250,000 naira minimum wage demanded by organized labor could undermine the economy and even lead to mass retrenchment of workers?
I don't agree. I think it's a fallacy.
Why do you say so?
Yes, because if you look at what has been happening in the past few periods in the country, we have had several cases of corruption, by state governors, by political office holders at different levels. And we have never had a situation whereby, despite the gargantuan nature of those corruption, that they have caused a spike in inflation. I mean, a recent example was, the former governor of Kogi State, who allegedly stole a lot of money and paid his children's school fees, for several years, ahead. And we didn't hear this argument. So why is it that when it comes to workers' wages, that is when this argument of inflation, is deployed? And it's just a lie, because if you look at it, inflation has gone up in the last 12 months, astronomically. And that wasn't because of, workers' wages were increased. It was simply because the government decided to disrupt the economy by implementing some policies like fuel subsidy removal and the devaluation of the naira. So that what the workers are asking for is that they need a new wage that reflects the current rate of inflation, because workers' purchasing power has gone down. So I don't agree with that, and I think that the labor movement must not agree with that.
Now, the minister also emphasized the imperative of a realistic wage system, that safeguards against this mass retrenchment while addressing workers' needs, right? And the figures have been 60,000 naira and now 62,000 naira. Is 62,000 naira the best figure to protect the economy?
The question of a minimum wage is first and foremost determined by the interest of the workers, not the interest of the economy, not the interest of the employers, not the interest of the state. When workers are demanding a minimum wage, what they are trying to say is that they need a wage that will prevent them from going into a state of complete dehumanization, a state of complete destitution, a state of homelessness where workers cannot even afford, to live as human beings anymore. So what determines a wage is first and foremost, the integrity of an average Nigerian worker. So that 62,000 naira, for instance, is not even enough to pay electricity bills per month in many households across the country because of the current increased electricity tariff. So what is the government saying? What government is simply saying is that you are giving workers a wage that will not even be able to pay an item of their bill in a month, let alone talking about transportation, children's school fees, feeding, and all of that. That cannot be accepted. What we need to say, therefore, is that government needs to open its books. We need to see whether it is true that the economy cannot afford workers' wages. As far as we are concerned, the labor movement, what is very clear to us is that what Nigeria's economy cannot afford is the greed of Nigerian politicians and the ruling elite. When it comes to workers' wages, Nigeria's economy can afford it because the mathematics is very clear. When workers collect wages, it trickles down back to the rest, of operators in the economy.
So wait, what would then be a realistic and sustainable minimum wage increase that, balances workers' needs, with the economic stability and, and even with the inflationary economy that we have, and also would be, suitable for the government not to be in bankruptcy, as the Nigerian governors have said in their statement about a week ago?
The workers have put forward what I consider to be a fair proposal.
But is it realistic? I mean, fair is one, but is it realistic?
It is very realistic, I must tell you. Because what you need to do first and foremost is to cut down on the greed of the political office holders. As at present, political office holders are collecting too much wage. They are completely oversaturated with money. That huge wealth that is in their hands needs to be removed. Many governors are collecting what they call security votes, which is money that they just spend as they wish. These are monies that can be collated together to be able to ensure that workers are given a fair wage while the economy is also protected. And this is possible where we have a system of running the economy that is based on, assuring a decent life for all. Currently, the system that we practice is capitalism, which therefore means that at every point in time, the interests of workers are in contradiction to the interest of the system. Because the system is basically for the enrichment of a few. And that is why it is important as Nigerian workers and people to begin to reconsider an alternative socialist economic management of Nigerian society.
So wait, but our system is democracy and it's for the people, by the people, and basically just the people itself. So when you say that it enriches the few, isn't that a bit contradictory?
It is contradictory, but it's the fact of our existence as Nigerians today. And why I agree it's contradictory is because it does show that we have been living a lie for the past 24 years, or 25 years, saying that Nigeria is a democracy. Because in the real sense of the word, if you look at the statistics that the NBS has shown us over the past few years, over 60% of Nigerian population don't have up to 500,000 naira in their accounts as savings. So where is all of the wealth that Nigeria is endowed with? Where is it? It is located in the hands of just less than 1% of the population. That obviously is not a democratic country. A country whose wealth is trapped in the hands of a few. So and that is why it is important today to consider a socialist alternative. Because what we need to ensure that there is decent life for all, there is minimum wage that is, available for everybody, is to put Nigeria's resources under democratic planning. The resources, the wealth is enough. It is our lack of planning and the greed of a few that has put us in this condition.
So, I want to say many thanks. Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you for doing this with us.
Thanks for having me.
And that's Hassan Taiwo Soweto. He's a human rights activist, and he joins us here today. Or better yet, to get it right so I don't mix it, he is the National Coordinator of Education Rights Campaign, and he's been talking to me about a proper or realistic minimum wage when it comes to organized labor and the federal government of Nigeria. We'll take a short break at this point on News Now. When we come back, there's more. Stay with us. And now to South Nigeria, where the governor of Delta State, Sheriff Ubori, on Thursday pledged sustained partnership with the Nigerian military and other security agencies for effective security and socio-economic development of the state. Governor Ubori, who was speaking while playing host to the General Officer commanding GOC, the 6th Division of the Nigerian Army, Port Harcourt in Asaba, reiterated the state government's support for security agencies in the state. The governor, who approved the construction of internal roads at the 6th Brigade headquarters, Asaba, noted that the Army have been playing a significant role in the security architecture of the country.
I've promised Deltans that we ensure that they have peace. Without peace, there's no development. Without the Army and other security agencies, there's no way we can enjoy peace. As oil producing states, the pipeline and everything have to be secured, life and property have to be secured, that we encourage investors. Delta State is open. See, look at now. If you look at Asaba now, the place is fully developed. Because the brigade commander, the encroachment of the IPOB has been reduced drastically. As a government, we will continue to collaborate with the Nigerian Army for effective security in line with our agenda.
I want to thank His Excellency also for the very good cooperation shown to the Nigerian Army during the unfortunate incident that happened in Okoma. We interacted very closely with His Excellency within that period. It was a very difficult period for both His Excellency and for us, but I think the way it was handled by His Excellency, it was handled very well, and I want to commend you, sir, for that.
And on to East Nigeria, Abia State House of Assembly says the reason it is here to inaugurate Aaron Uzodike, who was pronounced winner of the Abba North State constituency election of 2023, is because a certified true copy of the said judgment did not mandate the Speaker to do so. Speaker Emmanuel Emiruwa also said the 8th session of the legislature may have to withdraw the contract given to Innocent Motors to supply official vehicles to the House members. News Center's Chinwe Ugeli reports.
On the 14th of June 2023, the 8th Abia House of Assembly was inaugurated, and today it has clocked 1 year precisely. The leadership of the House of Assembly has taken stock of how it has performed in the last 1 year.
We received 15 bills, and we have passed 5 into law. And we have made 40 resolutions so far.
The 8th session of Abia State House of Assembly, made up of 80% new members who emerged as the House functionaries, made various headlines for various reasons. Part of the reasons it was in the news is that as a House that had the majority of its members from the People's Democratic Party, the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Majority Leader and Minority Leader all came from the Labour Party. Another thing is the inability of the Speaker to inaugurate Aaron Uzodike of the People's Democratic Party following his legal victory at the appeal court till date.
The court had to interpret the CTC he had, and I found that the court gave him judgment, declared him winner, and also mandated INEC to give him certificate of return, but did not mandate the Speaker or anybody else to swear him in.
He took a swipe at the management of Innocent Motors for delaying the delivery of their official vehicles 1 year later.
Innocent has received all the money required of him to produce the vehicles for House of Assembly members, but he has reneged more than 10 times from producing that vehicle.
The Deputy Speaker, Austin Okezie, and other members of the Assembly also highlighted the activities of the Assembly in 1 year.
Most of the things we do them behind the scene. The most important thing for us is to have the results which will benefit all Abians.
According to the Speaker of the Abia State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Emmanuel Emerowa, all is well between the executive and the legislature in Abia State. The reason there is progress in the state. But ultimately, the masses expect to see people-oriented laws that will generally benefit them at the end of the day. In Omaha for News Central, Chinwe Ugele.
For Democracy Group, the Kimpact Development Initiative has launched an artificial intelligence tool expected to boost voter education and improve the nation's electoral process. Now, the tool is designed to answer questions on electoral matters and educate citizens on the electoral process. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
The tool is called Niger-Elections, an artificial intelligence tool designed by Pro-Democracy Group, the Kimpact Development Initiative.
You will agree with me that when it comes to the process, democratic process and electoral process, one of the things that are a major challenge is access to information.
It is one of Nigeria's latest tech innovations, containing simplified election information to guide voters and inform them of the electoral process.
It is a transformative initiative designed to empower our citizens, especially young people. So dismantling barriers to information equips voters with the knowledge they need to make informed decisions and fosters a genuinely inclusive democracy. And what is a genuinely inclusive democracy? Well, everyone feels like they are part of the process. And this also ensures that when we have inclusivity, our democracy becomes stronger because more voices that ordinarily wouldn't have been heard or wouldn't have been part of the process would have been included.
Democracies around the world are facing exceptional challenges from misinformation and disinformation, and that encourages voter apathy and voter skepticism. And it's really important in this environment that our collective efforts promote voter education and reliable information. And by meeting this need through platforms such as Niger-Elections, we are obviously also strengthening democracy in Nigeria.
The developers say the innovation is apt and it is coming at a time advanced plans are underway for the conduct of off-cycle elections.
So you go there to understand what the margin of lead is according to the Constitution, according to the Electoral Act and the INEC guidelines. So the people in Edo and Ondo will have this information at their fingertips to be able to engage the process and to be able to also do better. Again, which one of the things you see there is also you are going to know all the electoral offenses.
Citizens of Edo and Ondo State in southern Nigeria will be expected to explore this innovation as preparations progress for the upcoming governorship polls in a few months' time. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
On August 21st, 2023, President Bola Tinubu swore in his 45-member cabinet with a few new ministries, which included the Ministry of Maritime and Blue Economy. Now, with the ministry almost clocking 1 year since its inauguration, News Central's maritime correspondent asks questions about progress being made. Take a look.
In and blue economy is the sustainable use of ocean resources for economic growth to improve livelihoods, create jobs, while preserving the health of marine and coastal ecosystems with the capacity to generate a revenue of more than $1.5 trillion per year globally, 30 million jobs, and supply vital sources of protein to over 3 million people. Looking at these statistics, the idea of its creation was apt. These benefits and more were what stakeholders envisioned when they for several years clamored for a dedicated ministry to help drive Nigeria's diversification from a mono economy.
It is sensitization and awareness of stakeholders to the new dream from green energy, blue economy, and green economy to blue economy. And the blue economy is all about sustainable harnessing, sustainable exploration of all facets of maritime, far away from exploitation. Because when we have exploitation, we destroy the environment and everything that surrounds it. The benefit will not be up to the damage.
The ministry's inauguration saw the minister start with a tour of critical infrastructures in the industry, stakeholders' engagement thereafter in a room to chart a way forward for the baby industry.
Life of the stakeholders of maritime industry in the sense that our minister, our maiden minister, pioneer minister of the Blue Marine Economy Ministry, had to come and talk to stakeholders today. Gathering is important because it gives us an opportunity to talk about the things that are sector specific. We as ship owners believe that without shipping there is no shopping. And we keep saying that if you do not give us ships, then the economy will suffer, in the sense that there is nothing you can do in this country without imports, without exports. And in mining, in every sector, in fishing, in maritime tourism, in ecosystem, even when you're talking about, even if you talk about wreck removal, you cannot remove wreck without a ship.
It's been 10 months since the creation of the Marine and Blue Economy Ministry. What critical steps have been taken to ensure Nigeria's maritime assets are harnessed for economic development? What infrastructural moves have been made to ensure smart ports that are competitive achieve cargo clearance in less than 48 hours? What's been done to support our frail shipping industry, building capacity so that indigenous shippers can play in an import-dependent nation? Where is the shipbuilding and repair sector? What's happening with tourism and aquaculture, looking at Nigeria's vast and rich coastlines? What's happening with water transportation that could reduce the pressure in urban cities? How have shippers, freight forwarders been protected against foreign dominance? What will be the scorecard of the minister in 10 months? Where are the roadmaps, policies that will show direction? There seems to be so many questions begging for answers, and while the answers hang, the maritime industry seems to be sleeping as it bleeds. It's time to wake the sleeping giant. It's time to rescue Nigeria from an oil-dependent nation to a more economic, diverse, one capable of addressing its economic issues, poverty, joblessness, youth restiveness, and more. In Lagos, for News Central, it's Norma Obiaswalo.
And watching news now on News Central TV, money is still coming up, and coming up, ANC strikes 11th hour deal to form government. We'll bring you details after the break. Stay with us. And we continue news in West Africa, where the taps feeding a pipeline carrying oil from landlocked Niger to Benin for export have been shut off, escalating a diplomatic row between the neighbors. Now, ties have been strained since last year's coup in Niger and the Benin port of Seme-Oji, which exports Niger's oil, has emerged as a flashpoint. Under regional sanctions imposed on Niger after the coup, Benin closed the border but has since reopened it. Niger's military rulers, however, have refused to reopen their side. The oil is essential to the economies of both countries and to the Chinese company WAMCO, which operates the pipeline. And move now to South Africa, where the Economic Freedom Fighters Commander-in-Chief, and that's Julius Malema, says his party was not against a broad coalition. Now, according to him, the EFF would have voted for the ANC candidate for president if they were promised the Speaker or Deputy Speaker position. But he denounced the idea of joining hands with the Democratic Alliance and the Freedom Front Plus, saying it represents imperialism, racism, white supremacy, and backwardness. Meanwhile, South Africa's long-standing ruling ANC says it has reached an agreement with several other parties to form a coalition after failing to win an outright majority in May's general election. Now, speaking on the eve of the first sitting of the newly elected parliament, Party Secretary General Fikile Mbalula says the party, or rather the government, would gravitate to the center after leftist parties shunned the deal. Now, the parliament will meet on Friday and is expected to re-elect President Cyril Ramaphosa to form an unprecedented coalition government. The ANC leader had called for a government of national unity after his party lost its absolute majority in last month's general election, but two major leftist parties shunned the deal. And now joining us to discuss this is a political analyst, Professor Nsikelelu Breakfast, and he joins us from from Nelson Mandela Bay, South Africa. Breakfast, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you for doing this with us. Let's start with all that's going on. According to the ANC Secretary General, the ANC has reached a breakthrough, right, in GNU talks. And this morning, the newly elected MPs will be sworn in. But how important is it for the ANC to go in there with, knowing that the GNC deal is sealed? Let's start there and then talk about the advantages so far.
Well, first of all, one-party dominance is a thing of the past, and the hegemony of the ANC has been dealt with a blow in a big way. So there was no outright winner in the previous elections. The ANC got 40%, the DA got about, I think, 22%, and then Umkhonto weSizwe, they were in number 3. So that creates a scope for a coalition arrangement or power sharing. But then the ANC has chosen, because it is the leading political party in terms of numbers, they've chosen a government of national unity, which is essentially power sharing. But it must be noted that it's not the first time we have an arrangement of this nature. In 1994, we did have a power sharing arrangement or a government of national unity, whereby the ANC shared power with the National Party that was in charge of running the country under the circumstances of the apartheid regime. But then it fell apart in 1996. But the difference between then and now is that that arrangement of 94, it was informed by political reforms. It was informed by the democratization process, which is the political transition to a democracy. As you know, that our democracy came out of a negotiated settlement. So there was a lot of thinking underpinning that model of governance. This one is a different kettle of fish, because the ANC in the build-up to the elections has been full of denialism, denying that it has had a downward electoral trajectory. And it only woke up when the results came through, painting a picture that is not good for the ANC. So the ANC has reached out to about 17 political parties so that they can constitute government, because one of the constitutional provisions is that political parties have only 14 days to constitute the government. That's why they are meeting today at the National Assembly. So
I'm so glad you just brought up the National Assembly breakfast, because now I need to ask a question about the advantage that ANC would most likely have with the swearing in of the MPs and the parliaments now voting this Friday. Do you see ANC's advantage? Do they have an advantage over other parties when it comes to who might be opposed to the return of Ramaphosa as the president?
I get the sense that there is an invisible hand regarding this deal that is struck between the ANC and the Democratic Alliance. and the IFP, because the market forces, I can bet my bottom dollar, will embrace this political arrangement, because the DA is a liberal party that gravitates towards the markets. The ANC is center-left. So I think the market forces might have had an influence in this arrangement, because they see the DA as a buffer against the ANC, because the ANC has been talking about the rolling out of the land reform, entrenching black people in the commanding heights of the economy, policies which sometimes are seen to be posing a threat to the market forces. So the arrangement is supported by business, but at the same time, some black people feel betrayed by this arrangement between the DA and the ANC, because the DA doesn't support racially inspired policies of affirmative action and what we call triple BE, which is broad-based black economic empowerment, which is meant to uplift black people.
Now, one of the parties who have also been opposed against this is EFF, which is Julius Malema's party, right? So EFF, MK, and P, among others, have given, the ANC conditions that if they are to join hands in forming a government of national unity, they've given conditions. How viable are these conditions when you put DA, throw a DA in this mix?
The ideological proximity of the ANC and these political parties, they are closer to each other. Both political parties that you've mentioned, they broke away from the ANC. They are breakaways of the ANC, which is quite interesting. So that tells you that there is ideological affinity or ideological alignment. But the problem is that the market forces, I think, will see any arrangement between the ANC and the EFF or Mkondo Wesizwe as an arrangement that is posing a threat to the market forces. For instance, the EFF, they believe in nationalization of the commanding heights of the economy, the nationalization of Reserve Bank, the return of the stolen land. It's a socialist party. But then you have again Mkondo Wesizwe, which is also a party that gravitates to the left. It's not a leftist party, but they also believe in the return of the stolen land. They also believe in nationalization. So that is perceived to be a threat by the business community. No one at the ANC has struck a deal with the DA. But then the EFF has been unwilling to work with the ANC if it reaches out to the DA.
So essentially then, is this a government of national unity?
Yes, it is. You are raising a very critical matter, because some people want to make a disjuncture between a coalition arrangement and a government of national unity. There are common denominators. A government of national unity is power sharing, and that is a coalition arrangement, but it's a different version. There are different versions of coalition arrangements. So a government of national unity, it's when a political party has not won elections, is reaching out to other political parties in order to work together. But essentially, it's power sharing.
Well, Breakfast, many thanks for doing this with us. We appreciate you for coming on.
Thank you very much.
And that's Professor Breakfast Nkakilulu. He joined us to just give us more insight on a coalition government as it regards South Africa and its elections. 2 cruise missiles launched by Yemen's Houthi rebels struck a bulk cargo carrier in the Gulf of Aden on Thursday, severely injuring a sailor who was evacuated by American forces. The Houthis have been targeting vessels in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden since November 2023 in attacks they say are in solidarity with Palestinians during the ongoing Israel-Hamas war in the Gaza Strip. Although this has caused a major disruption to international shipping, casualties have been rare. The Houthis has announced they carried out the attacks on 3 ships within the past 24 hours, including the Vabena in the Arabian Sea and 2 other vessels in the Red Sea.
نفذت القوات البحرية والقوة الصاروخية وسلاح الجو المسير في القوات المسلحة اليمنية بعون الله تعالى 3 عمليات عسكرية خلال 24 ساعة الماضية، وعلى النحو التالي: الأولى نفذتها القوة الصاروخية في البحر العربي استهدفت سفينة فربينا وقد أصيبت إصابة مباشرة ما أدى إلى اشتعال الحريق فيها بفضل الله. والثانية استهدفت سفينة سيجاردين في البحر الأحمر وقد أصيبت إصابة مباشرة بفضل الله. والثالثة استهدفت سفينة أثينا في البحر الأحمر وقد أصيبت إصابة مباشرة بفضل الله. وقد نفذت العمليتان بعدد من الصواريخ البحرية البالستية.
Thousands of Brazilians on Thursday rallied against a bill under debate in Congress that would equate abortion with homicide and impose sentences of up to 20 years for terminating a pregnancy after 22 weeks, even in cases of rape. Now, powerful conservative lawmakers sent the bill straight to the Chamber of Deputies on Wednesday, bypassing discussion in committees, which caused an outcry from progressive groups. Now, the new bill describes as simple homicide any abortion that is performed after 22 weeks of pregnancy when the fetus is considered viable outside the womb, including in cases of rape. If an abortion is performed after week 22, the new legislation calls for a punishment of 6 to 20 years, double that of a rapist.
Sujos de Congresso que hoje a maior parte é bolsonarista que defende o direito a um feto, mas não defende o direito de uma criança não ser obrigada a levar uma gravidez fruta de um estupro, e de nós mulheres que muitas vezes somos.
BRICS says it has started off a payment system toward a common currency target with a strategy to make 80% of all trade amongst members in local currencies. The bloc says it's looking to create a settlement payment system that would be independent of foreign currency and foreign banking systems as moves are made away from the dominant U.S. dollar. The BRICS Experts Forum announced this on the sidelines of the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum in Russia, where the host country also announced that it was already spearheading the initiatives. And for more on business, you can join our business desk for today's business news.
African countries have been urged to take advantage of benefits in the African Continental Free Trade Agreement protocols to boost their economies and leapfrog food security in the sub-Saharan region. This is coming on the heels of the revelation that Africa currently has the lowest inter-regional trade across the world, which represents only about 13% of the continent's global trade, compared to Asia's 60%. The charge was part of the resolutions reached at the just concluded Africa Economic Summit 2024 with the theme Africa, riding the crest of global economic and political volatility. A communique which was signed by the president of the Africa Economic Summit 2024, Dr. Sam Owaboa, and the chief executive officer of the Africa Economic Summit Group, Dr. Brian Reuben, and made available to journalists on Thursday in Abakaliki, said there was an urgent need for African countries to have a global outlook and aggravate sufficient resources to compete favorably with others, such as the United States of America, China, and India, among others. Meanwhile, African pay TV operator MultiChoice Group has blamed Nigeria's harsh economic condition as active DSTV subscribers in the country declined by 18%. The company stated this in its financial results for the year ended March 31, 2024. It said the decline in Nigeria affected its overall subscriber database, leading to a 9% decline for the year. While the total subscription figure for Nigeria is not stated, as it is lumped with other operating units outside of South Africa, tagged as Rest of Africa. MultiChoice reported that the 18% decline in Nigeria brought the ROA's total active subscribers down by 13% to 8.1 million from 9.3 million in 2023. The pay TV company stated that the Nigerian economy and consumers face persistent challenges through financial year 2024, the removal of fuel subsidies, sharp currency depreciation with the official naira halving in value, inflation climbing to over 30%, and higher immigration of the middle and upper class drove an 18% year-on-year decline in active subscribers. Prices of goods and services in the month of May rose by an average of 3.2%, a record high over the last 10 months, the Ghana Statistical Service has announced. This was despite overall inflation between May 2023 and May 2024, recording a slowdown to 23.1%, the lowest yearly inflationary figure in 26 months since March 2022. Although the 23.1% yearly inflation recorded in May is the second consecutive fall in headline inflation after the country recorded 25.8% and 25.0% for March 2024 and April 2024. The 3.2% monthly inflationary rate is the third consecutive rise in the monthly figure and a significant jump from the 1.8% recorded a month prior. Head of the Ghana Statistical Service, Professor Samuel Kobina Anim, explained that recent transport fare hikes can be attributed to the spike in the month-on-month inflation of May 2024.
And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. President Tinubu is expected to get bill proposing Nigeria's return to regional government today. ANC struck 11th hour deal to form government in South Africa. And we also told you that Niger has shut off oil export pipeline to Benin amid diplomatic row. Now remember that you can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, do make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV.